Welcome as we gingerly anticipate Nathan Keller's senior speech. Nathan entered prep in the 5th grade, and he's been active in the upper school in a myriad of ways. First, Nathan is a true scholar athlete. After competing in cross country as a freshman, Nathan has continued to maintain a high academic average while contributing to the success of the Augusta Prep soccer program, as well as serving as the captain of his own travel team, the Bulls. Along with his athletic endeavors, Nathan has also served as junior and senior class vice president the past 2 years, and recently was named secretary of the Science Club. As a junior, Nathan was inducted in the National Honor Society, and this year he has joined the Chess Club. At this time, I would like to extend a special welcome to Nathan's parents, Tara and Warren Keller, the latter of which just happens to be my pharmacist, and a special shout out to Nathan's amazing sister, Elena, class of 2019, who will have the opportunity to view and critique this speech later today. And in case you did not know, Nathan plays the guitar. He has a pool in the backyard, a golden retriever named Penny, and Nathan is a ginger. Please welcome Nathan Keller to the podium.
If you've ever gotten a sunburn in the middle of winter, you're probably more like me than you think. Gingers. What are they? How are they so rare? How have they affected the world today? People have their own opinion on redheads, like how we're short-tempered, have no souls. Many often judge too quickly, and underestimate people based on their appearance, and the generalizations that come with them. The genetics behind redheads is quite rare. Less than 2% actually possess the genes. To put that into perspective, the chance of having a redhead is less than the chance of having twins, living to 100 years old, or, call it, getting an A in French. Yay. Our genes stem from the recessive trait. It must be passed on from both parents, much like left-handedness. However, this gene can skip several generations and lay dormant, only to pop up again, which is where we are going extinct. A very important gene for the creation of a redhead is the MC1R, or melanocortin-1 receptor, which is attached to chromosome 16. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, or the NCBI, quote, the melanocortin-1 receptor is a melanocytic GS protein coupled receptor that regulates skin pigmentation, UV responses, and melanoma risk. Ginger's red hair and fair skin is a product of the melanocortin receptor's production ratio between pheomelanin, responsible for the lighter pigments, and eumelanin, responsible for the darker ones. Obviously, I have virtually zero eumelanin being produced, which is why I resemble what would be Casper the Ghost. The sun is any ginger's kryptonite due to the specific receptor's inability to deal with UV radiation, which is also why today is unofficially sponsored by Banana Boat Sunscreen. Now let me dive deeper into the pros and cons of being a ginger. What could be so bad about having red hair? Well, apart from never being able to tan, being more sensitive to thermal changes or shocks, and having a higher chance of developing Parkinson's disease later on in life, not much. However, there are just a few other negatives of being a ginger. As I previously said, melanoma, a type of skin cancer, is a major downfall of the fair skin trait. On top of that, a 2004 study suggested that redheads also need more anesthesia in local dentists and doctor's offices due to their heightened pain sensors. Aside from the genetic malfunctions, I am personally not a huge fan of National Pick a Ginger Day, which is a real day. The whole day started out as an episode from South Park, but got out of hand. This day is fast approaching, so my fellow gingers need to be on their guard this November 20th. With the minimal downfalls, it seems we can only go up from here. Ginger's aging process tends to be lengthened. We also lose our hair color slower than any other pigment. Because of this, I have a bit of a baby face now, but later on in life, I think I'll appreciate it. Redheads can also produce their own vitamin D, so we're safe from the vitamin D deficiencies which cause bone problems, like osteoporosis, which leads to the bones breaking very easily. On top of that, according to the NCBI, quote, the red hair phenotype, which results from polymorphisms and the melanocortin-1 receptor gene, is associated with lower risk of prostate cancer. As we all know, gingers originated from Scandinavia and the UK, right? Well, this misconception comes from research on the genetics of red hair from the Neanderthals, which are not the same genes that make up red hair today. In fact, historians have traced gingers back 100,000 years to the steppes of Central Asia. According to History Collection, quote, "The haplogroup of modern redheads indicates that the earliest ancestors migrated to the steppes from the Middle East because of the rise of herding during the Neolithic Revolution." Okay. The evolution behind this would suggest that people of the steppes didn't originally have the red hair and fair skin. However, because of their limited exposure to the sun, vitamin D problems became a major problem, and therefore their bodies were encouraged to start creating their own vitamin D, which began a process of having lighter skin and hair color along with generations. Myths are often associated with certain things. For example, lightning can strike the same place twice, but it's the same for gingers. As history went on, different myths were associated with redheads because their hair didn't look like the basic brown or black. No offense. But that didn't stop gingers from being an important part of the growth of society. In the 16th to 18th centuries, it was common European belief that redheads, mostly women, but men as well, were witches or warlocks. They were sacrificed because of this myth, and unfortunately, this is still in practice today, where voodoo is prevalent. Despite this, Galileo, a fairly closeted ginger, made huge steps in the world of science. He created his theory of heliocentrism, the idea that planets travel around the sun, which was highly controversial at the time, but we now know this to be the correct version of planetary orbits. Even before the witch trials and scares of the 16th century, ancient Greece believed that redheads were vampires, or demons, so they were burned alive to make sure their souls didn't escape the grave. Who knows where these myths come from, but at this time there's no scientific studies being done on gingers, so the Greeks must have just taken this at face value. Ancient Egypt also believed that gingers were unlucky, and the only way to get rid of them was to sacrifice them to Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld, by means of premature burial. Even though gingers were seen as this unlucky being, a study done by Vintage News confirmed that Cleopatra, the queen of the Nile, was a ginger, but she shaved her head to wear wigs to show her wealth. Her influence on ancient Egypt is one that is still in effect today. For example, she wanted Egypt to be independent from the Roman Empire, and she built the Egyptian economy and established trade connections with other countries. I know these famous people I used weren't ginger as far as you were concerned, but there are many redheads that go unrecognized for their fiery hair color. Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing, and even Malcolm X. We're all gingers. I asked some of my fellow redhead classmates what it meant to them to be ginger. Catherine said, "When I was younger, I didn't appreciate what it felt like to be different. But now it has become something I embrace as a part of my identity. I take pride in being a redhead, in part because of how special we truly are." Ashley said, "Whenever I see another ginger, I'm like, wow, their hair color is so cool. Then I remember that I'm a ginger too. Lol." It's such a unique color, and it's cool to see other people who also struggle with constant sunburns. But don't worry, I always have extra sunscreen. Thank you, Ashley. We, as a genetic rarity, have always felt a sense of unity. Gingers have built empires, pushed boundaries, but I think our school works the same way. We are all one family despite our differences. For the seniors specifically, we are the heart and soul of the school pride. It's our job to unite the high school and lead by example, to not judge others so quickly. As we graduate, we will have gone through everything together. Our first class, first homecoming dance, first girlfriend, second girlfriend. Some of us even had our third. As a class, we stuck together and lasted our first 3 years with only our last left before we leave this place we call home. As I was trying to find a good ending quote for my speech to really wrap it up, I stumbled upon a quote by a professional dancer and philosopher, Rick Astley. "Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you." I think our class has subconsciously lived by this from the moment we all stepped on campus for the first time. We have done our job as upperclassmen now to spread this message of unity. We are a family that works to help our future. But if you were to take anything away from this speech, wear your softball. Thank you.